really anything except these sort of big, sort of cavernous walls and like water flowing sort of thing. And then Matt, our boss, he had arrived with the surveyor and stuff. And then the surveyor, he was saying, "Get you out of there! You're not even down there with a hard hat." Because I didn't want to wear a hard hat. And I got up and he said to me, and I went, "Yeah." He says, "It's strange." He says, "Because that is so. I mean, everything was put in charge then for to put this big seal on top of the big domed sort of entrance, and put rocks down, gravel, sand, everything for to cover it up." And the guys turned around and said to me, "Do what you saw was really nothing, because it's just like it is just supposed to be basically a way for water to travel from one side of our city to the other. It's actually a river, that it's got a name sort of thing." He says, "But you're probably the first person that's actually seen it, underneath the city centre for 100 years." And I go, "Well, that's like that is special, even if I saw very little." I was kind of just still happy with the sort of idea that there was this special thing that I'll always be able to hold on to. Because first of all, I didn't even know that there was a river that run along Victoria Street and through the city centre. I think it actually ends up going up towards Boucher Road, and there's actually a system underneath Belfast that a lot of people don't know about. And it's not that it's important to know about it, but I was glad that it did. But today, today I sort of told JJ about that, and he said, "Daddy, can I be the first, in 100 years or whatever to do something?" And I said, "I doubt very much, son, if anything's going to happen today that's going to be like." So I went up round by the Albert clock, and obviously the leaning clock. So I told him the story about the leaning clock and stuff, and that being basically an indication of how fragile the sediment is. Because right up to the Albert clock was still the banks of the lagoon went up to that point. So I went round to the Merchants Hotel. I can't remember what it was called before, but it's round on your way around towards May Street. I think it's called the Merchants Hotel now. I'm not sure what it was called before, as I say, but there's all these kind of there's window, and then like a sort of like a not concrete, like a stone sort of thing between the windows, but there are carvings, at the top of the stones. And beside then there's a window, then another stone pillar type thing with carvings at the top. And there's everything from grapes and stuff like that there, all whatever. And JJ's looking up at these things and going, "What's that, son?" Or what's that, Dad? And I said, "Well, this used to be like this sort of the like the business, the import business hub here, so there was customs around the house or around the corner. That's why it's called Custom House. Maybe people came here, and that was where they did the dealings about the barrels of meat and bananas and grapes and whatever. But it's all featured on these sort of things." And I said, "But there's people on some of those," and I went, and I didn't want to tell him, but I said that if he asked me, I was going to tell him. So he said to me, what are those people, with it? And anybody that goes down can go down and see this for themselves. But it's the reason why I don't want to sort of make a big point of it is because I know that this slavery thing, became kind of like a sticking block for the for the royal family, and them having to apologise and things being torn down, that statues over in over in England and stuff being thrown into canals, because they represented people that had something to do with the slave trade, So JJ didn't even know what the slave trade was. And I told him that unfortunately during a particular period of our history, not just our history, but I mean mankind's history, there was a time whenever empires were built on buying and selling people, and most of these poor people came from, were basically stolen from their homes in Africa and brought on ships to different parts of the world to work, for next to nothing, and and he was going, but what? And I went, yeah, it did happen, son, it did. And that thing that's up there, with the because he said that the face looked different, from ours, sort of thing. And I said, that's a black girl, with a headdress on, and probably, all those couple of hundred years ago, there was probably sort of trades going on in this building, and they were dealing in people, not just coconuts and tobacco and potatoes and whatever, and he said, does that still happen today, Dad? And I said, well, thankfully not here, in this building. I said, people trafficking still goes on, son, but thankfully the slave trade, as recognizable as it was back then, with hundreds of thousands of people being sort of exploited, it doesn't happen anymore to those people. But yeah, there are still there's still slaves and stuff. But I realized that I was getting really deep, about the thing. And all he was doing was just basically asking me about something that had been carved on the outside of this hotel that I knew represented the trade of people, So go down and have a look at it yourselves anyway. Well, you can walk around, there are lots of them, and you'll see, as I say, you'll see a bunch of grapes, you'll see a barrel of molasses or whatever, but you'll see people, and everything that is on those sort of carvings represents what was being negotiated with inside the building, and they're never taking it away, and hope they don't.